Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Risk appetite finds fresh tailwinds. http ntvforex.com News ID BCDF 37 7/15 2020 10:38 3 am. Notes observations. UK June inflation picked up a touch, but analysts still expect a short period of deflation. Latest Fed's peak contained caution that the US economy would recover more slowly than expected amid a surge in novel coronavirus cases across the country. Asia. BOJ left policy steady as expected. Left interest rate on excess reserves IOER unchanged at 0.10%, maintained its policy framework of QQE with yield control around 0.00% and maintained asset purchases at annual pace of unlimited. In case of rapid yield rise, BOJ would buy JGBs promptly. Tokyo reported to raise coronavirus alert to highest level. South Korea June unemployment rate moved off decade highs 4.3% v 4.5% Coronavirus. Total global cases 13,290,153 1.7% DD. Total deaths 578.0 k 1.0% DD. Moderna mRNA NEJM reported trial data showed mRNA 1273 COVID-19 vaccine had produced antibodies in all patients tested during initial phase 1 study. Europe. Germany Chancellor Merkel agreement on an EU recovery plan was urgent. Different views remained among EU states. UK Chancellor of the Exchequer Sunak Finmin said to have ordered a review of capital gains tax that could have homeowners and investors to help to pay for the coronavirus outbreak. Americas. President Trump signed executive order ending preferential treatment for Hong Kong, stated that China sanctions legislation would hold China accountable for its actions in Hong Kong. Fed's Brainerd voter, Dove monetary policy will need to shift to provide more stimulus rather than focus on stabilization. July 14. Fed's Kaplan Dove, voter seeing pronounced slowing again since mid-June, prefers healthcare protocols over the Fed doing more, hopeful Fed will let some programs ease. Fed's Harker Hawk, voter in 2020 we are in a downturn that is both exceptionally painful and stubbornly long-lasting. Pandemic impact on economy is not a brief setback. July 14. Senate Majority Leader McConnell stated that GOP to pitch its own stimulus plan during week of July 20. Energy. Weekly API crude oil inventories 8.3 mv 2.0 m. Prior OPEC committee reportedly outlining a plan for 842 kbpd in extra compensation cuts for Aug-Sep time frame. Speakers fixed income FX commodities Iratum. Equities. Indices STOXX 6000.85% at 370.52, FTSE 0.58% at 6215.55, DAX 0.82% at 12,798.85, CAC 41.03% at 5,059.26, IBEX 35 0.38% at 7,324.00, FTSE MIB 0.74% at 20,026.50, SME 1.18% at 10,380.40, S&P 500 futures 0.59%. Market focal points. Key themes. European indices open higher across the board and remained generally positive as the session progressed. Consumer discretionary sector leading to the upside. Underperforming sectors include financials and telecom. IATA says air traffic down 36% compared to prior year. ASOS terminates contract with several clothing suppliers over labor treatment issues. Italian state to take over Autostrade. Earnings expected in the upcoming U.S. session include UNT Health, Bank of New York, and Goldman Sachs. Equities. Consumer discretionary. ASOS ASC.UK 4% trading update, Burberry BRBY.UK 8% earnings, Dooney Dunai.se 5% earnings, Dixons Carphone DC.UK 6% earnings. Industrials Atla NTIAATL.IT 25% CDP plans capital increase to gain stake. Technology ASML.NL 1% earnings. Telecom TELE2 TEL2A.SE 4% earnings. Speakers. Bo S. Tenrero likely to vote for further action to help the economy. likely to see disinflationary pressures for some time. She believed the UK would endure an interrupted V-shape recovery in UK. Saw Q3 GDP data improving. Italy PM Conte reiterated stance that was crucial EU leaders decide on recovery plan this month. Would give green light to country rebates in next EU budget if recovery package was swiftly approved. Sweden PM Löfven reiterated stance that grants in the EU Recovery Fund package are problematic. Portugal Finmin Leao stated that government to target 2020 budget deficit to GDP at 7.0%. Saw signs of a recovery. BOJ Gov Kuroda post-rate decision press conference reiterated view that the economy was in a severe situation with future developments are unclear. Risks were tilted to the downside for both growth and prices. Expected the domestic economy to gradually improve from H2 but the pace seen would only be moderate. Expected CPI to be negative for the time being. China Foreign Ministry spokesperson stated that UK banning of Hawaii was political manipulation and viewed that move as breaching UK promises. China to take all measures to safeguard its interests. US attempts to obstruct Hong Kong national security law would not succeed, labeled US action as violation of international law. Not aware if a Phase 2 trade negotiations had begun. Currencies fixed income. USD remained on soft footing as its safe haven role subsided for now amid hopes for a coronavirus vaccine. Euro USD approached the 1.1450 level for 4-month highs. A break above the 1.15 level would open the door for further upside. Focus look ahead towards ECB rate decision on Thursday. Higher UK inflation data helped the GBP currency to move higher in the session, with GBP USD higher by 0.5% at 1.2610. Economic data. NL Netherlands May trade balance 3.5 BV 3.0 B prior. 5 Finland May final retail sales volume YY 6.4% v 4.7% prelim. 5 Finland May GDP indicator YY 5.5 v 5.3% prior. UK June CPI 0.1% v 0.0% EYY 0.6% v 0.4% ECPI core YY 1.4% v 1.2% ECPI HYY 0.8% v 0.6% EUK June RPI 0.2% v 0.2% EYY 1.1% v 1.1% ERPI XX mortgage interest payments YY 1.3% v 1.2% E-retail price index 292.7 v 292.8 E. UK June PPI input 2.4% v 3.0% EYY 6.4% v 6.5% EUK June PPI output 0.3% v 0.3% EYY 0.8% v 1.1% EUK June PPI output core 0.0% v 0.0% EYY 0.5% v 0.5% E. No Norway June trade balance 10.2 billion Norwegian kroner v 1.2 b prior. DK Denmark June PPI 3.4% v 0.6% prior YY 1.6% v 5.6% prior. PL Poland June final CPI 0.6% v 0.7% prelim YY 3.3% v 3.3% prelim. IT Italy June final CPI 0.1% v 0.1% prelim YY 0.2% v 0.2% prelim CPI index X tobacco 102.4 v 102.3 prior. IT Italy June final CPI EU harmonized 0.0% v 0.0% prelim YY 0.4% v 0.4% prelim. ZA South Africa May CPI % v 0.5% EYY % v 2.2% EZA South Africa May CPI core % v 0.0% EYY % v 3.2% EIT Italy May General Government Debt 2.508 T v 2.467 T prior record level. Fixed income issuance. In India sold total INR 350B versus INR 350B indicated in 3-month, 6-month and 12-month bills. DK Denmark sold total DKK 4.5B in 2022 and 2029 DBG bonds. UK DMO sold 3.25B in 2.25% September 2023 gilt average yield 0.069% v 0.002% prior bid to cover 2.10x v 2.46x prior tails 0.5 bps v 0.3 bps prior. Looking ahead. PE Peru May Economic Activity Index Monthly GDP YY 32.5% EV 40.5% prior. PE Peru June Unemployment Rate 15.0% EV 13.0% prior. 0530 to Germany to sell 5.0B in 0.00% August 2030 bonds. 0530 PT Portugal Debt Agency IGCP to sell 1.75B in 6-month and 12-month bills. 0530 ZA South Africa announces details of next bond auction held on Tuesdays. 0600 IE Ireland May trade balance no ESTV 5.8B prior. 0600 IE Ireland May property prices no ESTV 0.2% prior YY no ESTV 0.5% prior. 0600 RU Russia to sell OFZ bonds. 0630 UK DMO to sell 1.5B in 1.75% July 2057 gilts. 0700 US MBA mortgage applications WE July 10 no ESTV 2.2% prior. 0700 BR Brazil July FGV inflation IGP 10 no ESTV 1.6% prior. 0700 UK weekly PM question time in house. 0800 UK daily Baltic dry bulk index. 0830 US July Empire Manufacturing 10.0 EV 0.2 prior. 0830 US June Import Price Index 1.0% EV 1.0% prior YY 3.7% EV 6.0% prior Import Price Index ex Petroleum 0.1% EV 0.1% prior. 0830 US June Export Price Index 0.8% EV 0.5% prior YY no ESTV 6.0% prior. 0830 CA Canada May Manufacturing Sales 9.0% EV 28.5% prior. 0900 CA Canada June Existing Home Sales 65.0% EV 56.9% prior. 0915 US June Industrial Production 4.4% EV 1.4% prior Capacity Utilization 57.8% EV 64.8% prior Manufacturing Production 5.6% EV 3.8% prior. 1000 CA Bank of Canada BOC Interest Rate Decision expected to leave interest rates unchanged at 0.25%. 1030 US Weekly Dow Oil Inventories. 1100 CO Colombia May Manufacturing Production YY 25.0% EV 35.8% prior. 1100 CO Colombia May Retail Sales YY 26.0% EV 42.9% prior. 1130 IL Israel June CPI 0.1% EV 0.3% prior YY 1.1% EV 1.6% prior. 1200 US Fed S. Harker discusses economic outlook. 1400 US Federal Reserve Beige Book. 1500 AR Argentina June National CPI 1.9% EV 1.5% prior YY 42.3% EV 43.5% prior. 1500 CO Colombia May Industrial Production YY no ESTV 29.6% prior. 1800 CL Chile Central Bank BCCH interest rate decision expected to leave overnight rate target unchanged at 0.50%. 1845 NZ New Zealand Q2 CPI QQ 0.6% EV 0.8% prior YY 1.4% EV 2.5% prior. 2100 KR Bank of Korea BOC interest rate decision expected to leave 7-day repo rate unchanged at 0.50%. 21000 Australia July Consumer Inflation Expectation Survey No ESTV 3.3% prior. 2130 CN China June New Home Prices No ESTV 0.5% prior. 2130 Australia June Employment Change 102.0 kV 227.7 k prior Unemployment Rate 7.2% EV 7.1% prior Full-time Employment Change No ESTV 89.1 k prior Part-time Employment Change No ESTV 138.6 k prior Participation Rate 63.4% EV 62.9% prior. 2200 CN China Q2 GDP QQ 9.6% EV 9.8% prior YY 2.2% EV 6.8% prior GDP YDD YY 2.4% EV 6.8% prior. 2200 CN China June Industrial Production YY 4.8% EV 4.4% prior Industrial Production YDD YY 1.5% EV 2.8% prior. 2200 CN China June Retail Sales YY 0.5% EV 2.8% prior Retail Sales YDD YY 11.2% EV 13.5% prior. 2200 CN China June YDD Property Investment YY 0.2% EV 0.3% prior. 2200 CN China June YDD Fixed Urban YY 3.3% EV 6.3% prior. 2200 CN China June Surveyed Jobless Rate 5.9% EV 5.9% prior. 2205 NZ New Zealand to sell 2025, 2031 and 2040 bonds. 2330 JP Japan to sell 12-month bills. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.